Throughout history, there have been a number of boxers that have dominated their generation, from Sugar Ray Robinson to Muhammad Ali to modern-day Terence Crawford. But very few had the same amount of impact as this man, Iron Mike Tyson. Join me in this journey as I talk about the terrifying rise and the eventual fall of this boxing titan. Stay tuned. The story starts with a precious baby being born in Cumberland Hospital in the Fort Greene section of Brooklyn. He was given the name Mike Gerard Tyson. His biological parents were Lorna Smith and a local cab driver called Purcell Tyson. Mike Tyson never got to know or even meet his biological father. Not much is known about him, but luckily Mike Tyson had a stepfather called Jimmy Kirkpatrick, who was a local gangster in the streets. Unfortunately for young Mike Tyson, Kirkpatrick ended up abandoning the family, leaving Lorna Smith to take care of Mike Tyson and the rest of the kids. After his stepfather left, Mike Tyson's mother moved the family to 178 Amboy Street in Brownsville on the eastern side of Brooklyn. Brownsville was renowned for being the murder capital of New York, whilst also boasting the highest rate of incarceration and violent crime of anywhere in New York. It was here that Tyson's life would descend into a murky world of crime and rebellion. Being a single mother, especially in the streets of Brownsville, is a very hard task. This would ultimately prove to be a lot for Lorna Smith, as she ended up becoming a hooker to make money, as well as a drug addict. All this meant that Mike Tyson and his siblings basically had no parental figure at all. During this time, Mike Tyson had started getting bullied in his neighborhood. He was getting beaten up and humiliated everywhere he went. He was also getting called terrible names due to his poor hygiene. As a young boy in one of the roughest areas in the country, Mike Tyson had to grow up very, very fast. He'd also been arrested more than 30 times by the time he was even a teenager. Given that particular start to life Mike Tyson had, the things he saw growing up, it is understandable he leant towards a life of crime. However, things took a surprising turn when he was sent to a juvenile center in upstate New York. It was here Mike Tyson was taught the basics of boxing by a man named Bobby Stewart. Bobby Stewart had instantly saw Mike Tyson's boxing ability and quickly reached out to one of the greatest boxing trainers that have ever lived, Cus D'Amato. This was a very pivotal moment in the life of Mike Tyson, because Cus D'Amato instantly took a liking to Mike Tyson. He adopted him when Lorna Smith eventually died to cancer. From here, Mike Tyson became obsessed with the game of boxing. Cus D'Amato taught him everything he needed to know, and now it was time for him to dominate the boxing scene. Mike Tyson made his professional debut as an 18-year-old on March 6, 1985 in Albany, New York. He defeated Hector Mercedes via first-round KO. Mike Tyson quickly began to make a name for himself, having 15 pro bouts during the year of 1985. The following year, Mike Tyson would have a shot at becoming the youngest heavyweight champion in history. But Mike Tyson would suffer a massive loss before this opportunity. This would be the loss of Cus D'Amato. On the 4th of November 1985, Cus D'Amato died of pneumonia at Mount Sinai Hospital in Manhattan. This one hit Mike Tyson hard. Not only did he lose his trainer and the person that got him into boxing, but he also lost his father figure. the person who was keeping him grounded and calm. Mike Tyson decided to use this as motivation, and he would eventually get his chance to make Cus D'Amato proud. On November 22nd, 1986, Tyson was given his first title fight against Trevor Berbick for the WBC Heavyweight Championship of the World. Mike Tyson, who was 27-0 with 25 of his victories coming by way of knockout. Tyson had gone 12-0 in the year of 1986 alone and officially qualified for the Unification Series with a second-round knockout victory over Alonzo Ratliff in September. Though the 32-year-old Berbick entered the fight as champion, he was still installed as the 3-1 underdog to Tyson, who at 20 years old was 12 years younger than Berbick and trying to surpass Floyd Patterson as the youngest man to win a major heavyweight title in the history of the sport, who I must say was also trained by the great Cus D'Amato. This goes to show how great of a trainer Cus D'Amato was. In the fight, Tyson dominated, easily picking up the victory by way of second round technical knockout. Tyson was the aggressor from the opening bell, hammering Berbick with several powerful punches. Towards the end of the round, Tyson hit Berbick with a 4-punch combination that sent Berbick across the ring. Berbick managed to stay on his feet, but Tyson continued to attack, hitting Berbick several more times until the bell sounded. Tyson picked up right where he left off in round 2, almost immediately hitting Berbick with a combination that dropped the champion. Berbick was able to answer the referee's count and the fight continued. Berbick, however, was unable to mount any offense. Tyson finally ended the fight at the 2-minute 35 mark, hitting Berbick with a right to the body followed by a left hook to the head that dropped his opponent for the second time, causing the referee to call the fight and award Tyson the victory via knockout. Mike Tyson had done the impossible. He had risen to the very top of the heavyweight division in just under 2 years. To this day, Mike Tyson is still the youngest boxer ever to win a heavyweight championship. Mike Tyson went on to win another 9 fights in devastating fashion, destroying each boxer that was put in front of him. At this point, Mike Tyson seemed unbeatable. No boxer had ever dominated the way Mike Tyson did. It wasn't just the fact that he was winning, it was how easily he was winning, which shocked the public. Many people thought that Mike Tyson would retire undefeated, and it was certainly looking that way up until the biggest shock in the history of boxing. On the 11th of February 1990, Mike Tyson was scheduled to fight a man named Buster Douglas for the undisputed heavyweight title. This was predicted to be another routine fight for Mike Tyson. As I mentioned, Mike Tyson around this time was seen as undefeatable, but the public were in for a massive shock. Buster Douglas's mother, Lou Lapel, died of a stroke 23 days before the title bout at the age of 46. Douglas had promised his mother that he would beat Mike Tyson before she passed away. Douglas, who had trained hard, surprised the world by dominating the fight from the beginning using his 12-inch reach advantage to perfection. He seemingly hit Tyson at will with jabs and right hands and danced out of range of Tyson's punches. The champion had not taken Douglas seriously, expecting another easy knockout victory, just as most neutral observers had. In the 8th round, Tyson landed a right uppercut that knocked Douglas down. The referee's count created controversy as Douglas was on his feet when the referee reached 9. Tyson came out aggressively in the 9th round and continued his attempts to end the fight with one big punch. Hoping Douglas was still hurt from the 8th round knockdown, both men traded punches before Douglas landed a combination that staggered Mike Tyson back to the ropes. With Tyson hurt and dazed, Douglas unleashed a vicious attack to finish him off, but amazingly, Tyson withstood the barrage and barely survived the round. In the 10th round, the damage Douglas had inflicted upon Tyson finally began to take its toll on the champion. While setting Tyson up with his jab, Douglas scored a huge uppercut that snapped Tyson's head upward. He followed with a rapid 4-punch combination to the head, knocking Tyson down for the first time in the champion's career. Tyson struggled to his knees and picked up his mouthpiece, which was laying on the mat next to him. The image of Tyson's mouthpiece hanging crookedly from his lips would become an enduring image from the fight. He was unable to beat the referee's 10 count, and Douglas was the new heavyweight champion. This was a massive shock to the world. The undefeated Titan actually got defeated. It was surreal. There were many opinions on why Mike Tyson lost this fight. The main one being that he got too complacent. Regardless, the public still felt that Mike Tyson would eventually bounce back from this defeat, but surprisingly, he never did. Things continued to go downhill from here. Tyson would fight 4 more times after the Douglas fight before being convicted of raping beauty pageant contestant Desiree Washington in 1991. This was a massive blow to Mike Tyson's career. He ended up spending 3 years in jail. Who knows what would have happened with Mike Tyson's boxing career during those 3 years had he not been in prison. After prison, Mike Tyson would continue his boxing career, trying to revive it. However, Mike Tyson was not the same fighter anymore. He was not as ruthless and dangerous as before. One reason as to why this was the case was cocaine use. Mike Tyson had started taking drugs just like his mother. It seemed like the death of Cus D'Amato affected him more than we could ever imagine. Cus kept him on track, and when Cus died, so did Mike Tyson's discipline. Tyson lost all his massive career-defining fights after jail. This includes 2 entertaining fights with Evander Holyfield, in which, in the second fight, he chose to bite Evander Holyfield's ear off due to anger. He got disqualified in the fight, but to be fair, he was losing the fight anyway. He also lost a massive fight with Lennox Lewis. All these names prior to Cus D'Amato dying, Mike Tyson would have had a great chance at defeating. Mike Tyson would eventually end up retiring from boxing after a defeat to Kevin McBride in 2005. Overall, despite Mike Tyson's losses, he had a very successful career. As mentioned earlier, Mike Tyson is still the youngest ever heavyweight to win a title. He was also an undisputed heavyweight champion, which is extremely rare. Although Mike Tyson did not meet the expectations of the public, he was still an unbelievable fighter who will never be forgotten for the chaos he caused in the heavyweight division and also the popularity he brought to the sport. He will always be remembered as a legend, regardless of what people say about him.